Let's bring in right now ABC News chief Washington correspondent, best-selling author Jonathan Karl. He's out today with a new book titled Retribution, Donald Trump and the Campaign That Changed America, which takes a look back at Trump's improbable return to the White House last year and the ripple effects of that election on both the country and the rest of the world. I was going to ask you about the book, but I was just thinking because shit happens so fast now. There was a week last month where Donald Trump said you should go to jail twice. And the first time, I think he said, by the way, you ought to take your wife to this beautiful, it's safe in Washington.
Right after he said
you
that.
You and your beautiful wife should go have dinner. Try to explain to Americans that are sitting there trying to sort through all of this. You're right there. Explain to them how Donald Trump could go from saying you should go to jail to giving you dinner suggestions with your lovely wife.
I mean, it was,
and I'm serious.
It was literally in the same minute, same 90 seconds. He said, I asked him a very simple question. Pam Bondi had talked about she's going to crack down on hate speech. They're going to prosecute hate speech in the wake of Charlie Kirk. And I asked him basically, I said, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech. Is she really, what do you think of that? And then she said, well, maybe she'll go after you. You've got a lot of hate in your heart, and goes off on this.
Because that is what people say about John.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a hater.
See it from here.
And then later in the day in the Oval Office, the same kind of thing. But I tell you, Joe, as soon as it was over, as soon as the interaction with the press was over, the cameras start leaving the Oval Office. He calls me over to the Resolute desk and says, "We're okay." And then says, thank you, Jonathan, on the way out, after he had just told the world what a terrible
human being. You're going to tell me so much of his performative.
But it's not great for safety.
Nobody's saying it's great for safety, and that is the thing he doesn't understand is for him it's shtick, for you it's death threats.
Right. Precisely. I mean, and everybody hears what he says, obviously, in front of the cameras. The other thing is, I spent a great deal of time in this book to try to get as much detail as I could about his interactions with Biden, because there were several interactions, beginning with Butler, shortly after the shooting in Butler, when Biden calls him. Then there are a series of other calls and meetings before and leading to January 20th. And in all of these interactions, he couldn't be friendlier and more effusive with Joe Biden, the guy who he calls a corpse, puts up the auto pen, says is the worst president we've ever seen.
Somebody said it was like a golf clubhouse. Well, when they got together during the transition, that it's just there's such a disconnect. I want to ask you about Jonathan Lemire asked Nancy Pelosi a question on Morning Joe. That was it's a good question. He does that.
He does.
He did it with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki, and I then got thrown out of the room. It's ugly, but not after asking Nancy Pelosi about Joe Biden's continuation of the race. That is a question on this show that sort of precipitated events in that campaign. And you write about it.
And it was what was seen by Biden and people around Biden as the knife in the back. Maybe not even in the back. And, your question was about whether or not Biden should get out of the race. And she said, well, he's got a decision to make. He had made the decision. He had announced to the world, and he had snapped and said, no. Also on this show, by the way, enough of this, no more talk of this. So right after that was on this show, she goes to have a secret meeting with Joe Biden in the White House. And they don't even want the people in the West Wing to know about it. So Annie Tomasini, who is like the kind of almost a member of the Biden family, arranges for Pelosi to come in, through the residence. Secretly, nobody knows. They go up to the Yellow Oval, which is, room that Nancy Pelosi in the residence, which Nancy Pelosi said she had only been in a couple of times in her entire life. And they have this long meeting. It's the last time the two of them speak. As the meeting concludes, and, Pelosi's not telling him directly to get out, but reiterating the message that she said to Jonathan, that these two devout Catholics take out their rosaries and they say a prayer together. And Pelosi leaves. It is the last time that they had any meaningful exchange of words.
It's remarkable, a remarkable story. Moving forward, Joe Biden announces he gets out of the race. Nancy Pelosi gets out in front and supports Kamala Harris. And you report that Barack Obama called her basically asking, what the F did you just do?
Yeah, so the two of them had been basically working to try to get, Biden out of the race, and they had been adamant that when he gets out, we need to have some kind of a process, whether it be a mini flash primary, something, a meeting of delegates, something. And
don't just hand it over to Kamala.
Don't just hand it over to Kamala Harris. Right. And they had a pact on this. Yeah. And, she gets out and everybody endorses her within hours. Shapiro, Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, they're all endorsing her within hours. Pelosi actually waits till the next day, but she sees that there's nothing to hold the tide. So she puts out the endorsement, gets this phone call. I actually spoke to somebody who overheard the phone call. And what Obama says is basically, what Nancy, what was that all about? And clearly irritated. Now, I've spoken to people close to President Obama who say he was just kind of joshing with her and giving her a hard time. I've spoken to another, person who, very close to Pelosi, says, no, she was pissed off. She was angry. He was angry. The clear message was, why did you do that? I also report that right about the same time, Pelosi talks to her husband, Paul Pelosi. And Paul answers the phone by saying, Kamala?
No.
You did what?
What?
Kamala? Because they've never been friends.
Yeah. Look. Neither of them. There were doubts from both of them, obviously, that she was the strongest candidate. But bigger than that, they thought that it would be a very bad look and not good for her campaign if she was kind of just ordained.
Coordinated. Yeah.
So moving forward to Trump's taking power again, the very title, Retribution.
Yeah.
You have new reporting about how the Department of Justice very quickly became under his thumb and followed his marching orders.
So this, to me, is a fascinating and underappreciated story that we all know that obviously the Department of Justice was taken over by the Trump legal team, essentially. But in the days and, in fact, hours before Trump becomes president, he's still wrapping up his legal cases. Jack Smith has to unwind everything. He has to finish his final reports. They go to court to try to stop him from doing his final reports. What's the need for a final report? He goes on, he fends off those challenges, does it, then they go to court to try to keep them from becoming public. They're given an opportunity, the Trump legal team, to come and have a look at the final reports, Jack Smith's final reports, before they come out. This is on January 3rd, 17 days before the inauguration. And they're told, this is Emil Bovee and Todd Blanche, they are told that they have to come to Jack Smith's offices in Washington, to this annex building way behind Union Station, and they can review it there. It can't be sent to them. They must come at this appointed time. And then before they can go into the conference room, they're told you have to leave your cell phones outside. These are the guys that are about to take over the Justice Department and fire everybody that had anything to do with this case. And they're kind of being treated like, in their views, as kind of common criminal defense lawyers. So when Bovee is the one that first goes into DOJ, within hours of the inauguration, because he doesn't need to be confirmed. And he is effectively running the show. And it is, to a degree, a reign of terror. It's like, we are going to go and purge everybody who had anything to do with any case involving Donald Trump or even any of the January 6th rioters. And it's a stunning transformation from common defense attorney, to maybe one of the most powerful figures we've ever seen walk the halls of the Justice Department.
John, for folks who are watching this right now, they know you as a prominent TV figure on a different channel, but they don't know perhaps that you also have covered Donald Trump when you were a cub reporter at the New York Post. Yeah. You've known Donald Trump perhaps longer than anybody else in the White House press corps, going back for 30 plus years. The question I think all of us have, that all of us get almost every day from people, is this, and I want your view on this. Will Donald Trump voluntarily leave the presidency in 2028? Everything you know about this man, all these years, you interact with him still almost daily today in Washington. You see him in person, you talk to him. Tell me where you think this all ends.
So there's a two-part answer to this. One is I do think that the reason why he keeps bringing up Trump 2028, he's got the hats, he shows everybody when they come to the White House. It's trolling. It is absolutely trolling. And frankly, Steve Bannon, who was the one that really started to get this going, is trolling not just Trump's critics and Democrats. He's also trolling J.D. Vance. Bannon privately, not a big J.D. Vance fan at all.
And by the way, John, before you got here, we were talking about how Donald Trump is going to be what every president the second term is, a lame duck. One way to not be a lame duck is to print out Trump 2028 hats and have your lieutenant saying, oh, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't think that Trump has any designs on actually staying past the end of this term. He tells people privately, people close to him, no, I'm done. And he also, by the way, he's started doing this thing where he will, especially you go down to Air Force One, and he'll go to people and say, so what do you think, JD or Marco? JD or Marco? JD or Marco?
He brings up Marco's name unprompted every time he's asked the question.
But here's the thing. I don't know how he voluntarily goes lame duck. I don't know how he...
Right.
At what point does he actually make it clear, no, I'm not running, and it's one of these guys or it's that guy, and now all the attention shifts. I covered the Obama White House.
Right.
You know what it's like in late 2015, 2016, when you're a lame duck? Nobody pays any attention.
Yeah.
Certainly not the kind of attention Trump wants.
Crazy.
So I don't know how he voluntarily passes the baton. I don't think right now he's serious about staying another term, but how he walks away.
Well, I think a lot of it depends
How
on
is the
2026. I mean, if Democrats take control, and I'm not saying this facetiously, we may see Donald Trump, visiting Saudi Arabia and other countries and his golf courses a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, but
He's already doing it a lot.
We're going to have much more with Jonathan Karl straight ahead.